Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today we're going to be playing with Kraft neutral colours in our journal, and it's inspired by Megan Wisner-Quinlan. Megan is amazing at using neutral colours and using Kraft and using burlap, and it's something that I've often struggled with. So I challenged myself today just to use neutral colours in my journal. So I decided to completely push out the boat and start on a burlap page, and I'm just using this stencil from Dina Wakley, some white paint in the background just to add some interest to the background. I find in the past I used to glue tissue paper to the burlap to sort of get the texture of the burlap, but so I could actually paint on it without stuff going through the background. Funnily enough, when you stencil on it, because you don't actually use very much paint, it doesn't seep through as much, so it's a really great way to add some extra colour and to interest into the background of your burlap, to add a collage over the top, or something small, or to do something similar to what I'm doing today. Now you can see I'm not using very much paint. I'm pounding it out on my glass mat beforehand. I've got different levels of white there, but you can see, you can still read the words, so it's pretty easy. So the images I've got here are ones that I'd cut out for a previous page. I'd been brave, I'd torn out a page of Kraft paper from one of my journals, so I could stamp on it, because the Kraft actually matches the burlap beautifully. It's just got that really rich colour to it. So these are all the new Dina Wakley stamps from her latest release, and I really love that face. I've become addicted to using it, but one of the things that was frustrating me about it was the fact that it didn't have the top of the head. It was like, well, what do I do with this? If I'm not very good at drawing hair, how do I get around it? So I think it was Megan. It may have been someone else, but I think it possibly was Megan, who had some foliage coming out of the person's head. And it's like, that's a really good idea. Because I'm a bit weird, most of the times when I'm doing this image now, I have some foliage coming out of it, but I usually got other heads coming out of it. And it's probably very representative of me and my overthinking, and always sort of having that inner dialogue in my head. So having sort of putting a face to that inner dialogue has actually been really good. So I am busy cutting out some extra bits of Kraft to sort of tie them together. So on the Kraft bit, I've got some white stamped cardboard, and then I decided on the white image I was going to have some Kraft cheeks, and again that was just a really simple way to tie it all together. Now I'm going in with some Inktense pencils. So these are kind of like the Stabilo oil pencils, but they're permanent. Once they're activated, they become permanent, which is really, really handy. And because I wanted to keep the similar colour scheme, I'm using sort of these browny maroony tones just to tone in with what I've got in the background. On the Kraft one, I have used my Stabilo oil pencil to do the same sort of thing, to give some depth of shading and to water activate it. I've also used white paint pen to make the eyes pop out, and you can see on the little guy at the top I did the same. I coloured in the pupils, but I put the catch-alls in the eye, and that's really, really important, because that's what actually sort of brings things to life, makes it look realistic. So yeah, I suggest if you've got any face images and you sometimes think they don't quite look right, have a look at the eyes. Try putting in some white pen into the whites of the eyes, and then try putting in catch-alls, which are just two little white dots in your pupil, and they make the eye come alive. It's magic. So once I've put my little person in, I'm just sort of cutting my little branches to fill up the foliage a little bit, and to make it look a little bit more unified, I suppose, and not that he's kind of just plonked on top of her head. So you can see I've got a whole heap of stamped out images in the front of my journal. It's not something I do very regularly. I tend to, when I'm stamping, stamp onto tissue paper and kind of blend it into the background. So it's kind of a new thing for me to actually stamp on cardboard and have the stamped images as the focal point. It's using, I suppose, your stamped images more as a collage element than I have done in the past. So I had this quote, which I love, and it was really it really kind of summed up this page, because I fell in love with doing this. I ended up, when I was doing this, because I had all those stamped images at the front, actually doing about 3 or 4 neutral pages, which I just adored. They were quick, they were easy, but they were really, really satisfying to do. I'm just going in again with my Inktense pencil in the same shade that I used on the face, and putting in a little bit of highlighting on my letters, just to add some of that colour into the white, not to make it as stark. And I do apologise for the camera going in and out of focus and focusing on my head. I should stop leaning over what I'm doing so you guys can see. And that's pretty much the end of the story. It was fairly quick and easy. I did pick up this red pencil to add some red to her lips. I'm not sure if I loved that or not. I kind of wish I'd left the red, I think. I'm still undecided about that. I've also put the Stabilo All pencil over some of the foliage just to darken it up a little bit, because there's a little bit grey rather than the black, which I wanted. Final thing is adding in an extra quote down the bottom, but I decided not to do that. I kind of just liked it the way it is. So in the close-up you can see the shading on the face, which just sort of makes that image come alive, and it's so easy. Just scribble over it and let the water on your brush do the hard work for you. And this is the close-up of the finished page. So it's just a really quick and easy page to do. It's a great way to use the burlap up in your journals. It's a great way, if you do a load of stamping onto some cardboard, you just cut them up and just play around until you're happy with what you come up with. For more details about Megan, you'll find that in the description box below. Until next time, bye for now.